everybody, welcome to Muscular Development's preview of, I can't wait to say it, the Boston Pro. Been waiting my whole life for a pro show right here in Boston. Joining me, two best people on this planet I could possibly have to do this preview with. Giles Tiger Thomas over in the UK and somewhere called Leeds. And of course, in Massachusetts. And as you'll find out from talking to people at the show, if you go, everyone who lives within 50 miles of Boston just says, I'm from Boston. But please welcome the Boston Mass, Jose Raymond. What is up, guys?
What's up?
Yeah.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah. Now, before we start, Giles, you actually had some uplifting stuff to share with us before we get into the preview.
Yeah, this is nothing to do with the Boston Pro, but just something. A friend of mine rang me yesterday. A guy called Paul Baxendale. He's an old training partner of Dorian Yates, and he's was a good super heavyweight. And he said he's just come back from Egypt. And he said, Giles, he says, I'm absolutely blown away by how big Ramy is perceived in Egypt. He said, there's people in villages, in towns. He said, he's so well known. He said, he's like literally the biggest sports star in Egypt right now. He says, there's gyms opening every week he said, literally all over Egypt. He said the taxi drivers knew who he was, Big Ramy, because they could see my friend trained. And they said, Big Ramy said he's changed everything. See, people are training now. They don't want to do boxing or whatever. They want to be bodybuilders. They want to weight train. So, because I've been very, very vocal about, how Ramy has not really done much since he's been Mr. Olympia. He's not made himself available for interviews. I've reached out to him for tours and he even got back to me. Yeah. But, and obviously saying that he's got a bit of a responsibility as Mr. Olympia for global. But it seems now that in Egypt, bodybuilding is absolutely exploding over there right now. So he's making a big impact over there. And he said the reason he's not so much on social media is because he's on national TV all the time. Well,
see, outside of Egypt, how would we know all that?
I know, but at least regionally, he's doing a lot physically for bodybuilding over there. And my friend Paul said, look, Giles, he said, expect to see a lot more good Egyptian bodybuilders coming out of that country in the next few years. Because we've already seen like Ahmed Wadani and Shaban and all these other guys and the other guy, Mohammed El Imam, he said, but that's just the start. So it looks like Egypt's kind of on the rise in this next couple of years.
Yeah, right on. Now
We've had some crazy Egyptians through the years. I mean, they are genetically incredible, and it doesn't surprise me that it's continuing to build. When you look in Iran, how big Hadi is, how big, what the hell was his name? Oh my God!
Hadi's number one in Iran, but there's that Biraz.
Well, before Hadi, who was the biggest bodybuilder ever from Iran?
King Kamali?
No, he's not. Come on.
Bob Abaspor? What was his name?
Yes. Baito.
Abaspor died.
When he passed away, there was 1 million people at his funeral.
Oh my gosh.
A million, like miles on the streets.
Wow.
GM packed. Google it when you get a minute. Google Baito Abaspor's funeral.
Wow.
And it'll blow your mind.
I saw him win in Finland. He was incredible.
Yeah.
He was a 212. He was pretty much a 212 then.
Yeah, he was incredible. He got overlooked. There were a few that I had him as one of the best in the world, no question. And he never was top 5 at the Olympia.
True.
Yeah.
Really great.
But before we start, I don't give you guys, everyone out there, but you two, I bet even Giles, you're the best historian I know. I talked to several people at the Arnold about you, Giles. Everyone is super impressed with your recollection abilities. You can rattle off top 10 at the Olympia from, 1922, which, they didn't even have an Olympia back then. So did either of you know that this is not the first pro show that's been held in Boston? There was one. It was 41 years ago. It was called the Grand Prix Massachusetts.
Wow.
And here were the placings. First place, Boyer Co. Second place, Albert Beckles. And that was it. They had 2 guys. So
no. That's why it hasn't been one for 41 years.
That's probably why they didn't have another one for 41 years.
In Massachusetts?
Somewhere in Massachusetts it was held. I don't know if it was in the city of Boston, or I imagine it was Boston, but
it was IFBB or AAU
yeah, it was IFBB. It was obviously clearly a small show. And back then they didn't have pro-am shows. So they must have held this thing by itself only 2 competitors showed up.
In
And
someone's living room.
I imagine it was a massive financial disaster for whoever promoted it. But yeah, but this show is fantastic. It's loaded with competitors. I got to start because every time I make any kind of post, even if the information I post has, they'll ask, where do I find out this and that? BostonPro.com, everybody. BostonPro.com is the official website. All the info you need, the schedule, where the show is being held. You want to park at the Prudential Center, most likely, from what I can gather. Does that sound right to you, Jose? Prudential Center? That's what Nate said.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a great show, and that's also we get the pay-per-view info. And the pay-per-view is only $9.99. It's not even $10.
That's
Yeah.
good.
So help them out, guys. Support the show. Yeah, like I said, we've been waiting on this, and the fact that it's held just a week after the Arnold is good. We're picking up a lot of the best talent from the Arnold Classic is rolling right into this.
Yeah.
So we
Good
got
timing.
to
Giles,
stop.
when do you land?
When do you land? It doesn't land. You're being sarcastic.
I asked like 7 times because people kept asking Ron
You know,
every time he posted. They're like, when does Giles land? And Ron was dumb enough to keep answering me. I'm like, I haven't seen him. When does he get in?
Oh, it was
He's
a
like, "He's
joke.
not coming."
I didn't know you were joking. So, well, speaking of who's coming and not coming, this kind of is a question mark. I know he's on the list right now, William Bonac, who was a very, very close second at the Arnold, but I'm still waiting to hear back from him. I messaged him early yesterday because Sunday when I was leaving the Hilton, I saw him at breakfast and I said, "You're coming to Boston, right?" He was very much on the fence. He's leaning towards it, but he wasn't sure. He was going back to the Netherlands and he would have to fly back here to Boston. So let's assume William Bonac is in the show. I know this isn't the Arnold. It would have been awesome for him to win the Arnold, but this could very well be a victory for William Bonac. So who'd like to begin?
Go ahead, Giles.
Go ahead, Giles.
Go ahead, Jose.
So what do
Okay,
you want
well,
to know about William Bonac?
Yeah.
yeah, well, I think he's crazy not to do this if he doesn't do it because I mean he's obviously qualified for the Olympia, isn't he? Got second last week,
Yep.
Yeah.
so I think he's absolutely crazy because it's 40K and a truck.
Yeah.
So
Where did you hear 40K?
hang on, I interviewed Jay Cutler for the Pro League Hype Show,
Oh, okay.
and he told me it was a big amount, and he said, and it's a truck, and I've got 60K truck in my head for some reason, but it's a decent amount of prize money. And why would he not want to do this? What, because he got second at the Arnold Classic? I mean, this is madness if he doesn't do this. He's literally throwing away, because I mean, come on paper, he's the favorite to win this. And I think if he doesn't do any more shows until the Olympia, I think that's just ridiculous. So I think I would love to see him in this show. I'd love to see him win it. And also, get a little bit of redemption for the Arnold Classic last week.
Jose?
I agree 100%. I tried to message him. He didn't answer. He's kind of hard to get in touch with. Yeah, that's one of those things where it's a no-brainer. It's a slam dunk for him. I just don't know what that money is. I don't know what his situation is as far as, flight, hotel, getting here. William certainly doesn't know the Boston area.
No.
And if he had, arrangements otherwise, previous engagements, family or something, because, to William, I don't know if 20 grand is worth missing out on your children or something.
Yeah.
So I don't think they had posted what the money was.
I haven't seen
If you're
it.
telling me a F-150 is the prize money, that's not worth me leaving my kids. But if you put another 40 grand on top of it, maybe so.
Yeah, there's
What's an
nothing on this.
F-150?
That's a Ford truck, and then there's a 350 is massive. It's all jacked up.
Because I had Jay Cutler on the Pro League Hype Show I did for NPC News Online, and Jay actually said, I'm sure it was 40K, and I'm sure it was the truck as well. But he did tell me, but I'd maybe have to go and check. If anyone wants to go and check, they can go and check that video.
Okay.
But he did state what it was.
Okay.
Right. Is that 40K for the top 5? Or
No,
is that
It must be first. That must be first place. It must
Don't
be.
quote me on that, guys. Don't quote me on that. But you know what? Something's just popped into my head. William always looks his best at the first show, the Arnold and the Olympia, when it counts, and he always fades. So here we are saying it's a foregone conclusion, and if he does it, he'd win it. But you know what? I was at the 2017 Arnold Europe, and when Rami won the Arnold Arnold Europe, and then William got second, but he didn't look as good as he did at the Olympia.
Yeah, well, I mean, going back and forth like that, I don't know if that's a good idea either. I mean, I'd rather park my ass here and just have my meals and find a good gym, and you know, in a perfect world. But you know, you're right. I mean, he was awesome at the Arnold, but let's go into the next guy. Steve Kuklow was right behind him in third place. He really needs a win, and he hasn't won a show in a little while. It would be much to his advantage to pull off a win here. It's not going to be easy because Samson Dauda is going to be breathing right down his neck. But you know, Kuklow, it's hard to say, was this the best Steve? The conditioning was awesome. I've seen him maybe a little fuller, but I thought he brought a pretty devastating package to this Arnold Classic. So if William fades, I could see that happening. I could see Steve overtaking him. Giles.
Well, like I said before we start recording, Samson was only 3 points behind Steve Kuklow. Now, I think with Samson, does he get better or does he get worse? Whereas Kuklow tends to get better. If you look at the Indy Pro or the Texas Pro, he always seems to improve. So I reckon he'll look even better this week, and I think he's going to be hungry after that third place. And especially, I think he'll be really going for the win here. So I would say if Bonac doesn't show up, then I think Steve is probably going to be the favorite to win this. You know, I'd see it between him and Samson.
Yeah. You agree, Jose, or disagree?
I agree 100%. I think Kuklow could afford to loosen up a bit for a few days and put on 5 or 6 pounds of stage weight, and it'll benefit him. I think he was a little flat at the Arnold, which was awesome because we'd never seen that version of Kuklow. He was very sharp, very tight. Skin was saran wrap. It was just a flat version of him that we've never seen. So now you fill that out with that low body fat he had, and it could be a freaky look. And particularly if you're not standing next to Bonac and Brandon,
Right.
you know, we don't really know who's exactly showing up. I hope they all show up. But that said, I still think Bonac has a level of muscularity that even if he's off, he's going to beat everyone into the ground. Like he's so big and so round. Even if he's off slightly, he's only going to be bigger.
Yeah.
It's going to look crazy.
Yeah, you know,
like you said, Giles. I think he'd be nuts not to come do this.
Yeah.
Crazy.
There's no set of circumstances in my mind where Bonac doesn't win this.
Yeah.
I don't see Steve or Samson leapfrogging him in any way, even if he's off. I just don't.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Hey, who's this guy? I think he's Egyptian too. He's on the list.
Islam Muhammad.
He's pretty crazy.
Hmm.
I think he did the Egyptian show with Samson and Regan, and he was like 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
But I think he was sort of overlooked because he was crazy shredded.
Hang on, Mohamed Foda was, I think, 5th at the Egypt Pro. Is this the same guy with just a different? Sometimes they have slightly
maybe
different things. Because
Say.
Mohamed Foda's really good. He did his pro debut at the Egyptian. I think he got 5th last year. At the
All right,
Egypt
maybe that's who I was thinking.
If I show you the picture,
different guy. I'm sure it's a different guy.
Well, I'll find the
Pretty
picture.
impressive in that picture, though. A front lat spread.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the name. I want to say I don't know if he's ever competed stateside. I feel like I've seen him before, but probably not. There's so
I
many.
put him top 5 in my predictions. How's that? I've never even seen him. I don't know who he is. Just by his name, Islam Muhammad, he's top 5.
Well,
No question.
if you see Egypt at the after the name, you can just assume top 5 in a lot of cases.
You're right.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, here we go. Islam Muhammad. Hopefully this will show. What a crap. You can't really see it that well, but
Yeah, look at that.
He's pretty great.
Different guy. That's not Mohamed Foda.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah. Different guy.
Yeah, this guy looks like a super heavyweight size gentleman, though you never can tell. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that. That's a cool thing about this show is there were some people that didn't get invited to the Arnold, or they applied and were denied entry to. They didn't. accept it, and they're going to get a chance here. Like we'll get to Clayhar in a little bit, but this is a chance to stand next to the best from the Arnold and show that you belonged on that Arnold stage. You were good enough to be there. And the fact that we had 5 guys drop out, but they didn't add any more people. Yeah. So Samson, go ahead.
How does that version of Clayhar at, I don't know if it was Tampa last year,
Texas,
New York, how does that version stack up with Kuklow and Samson?
Dude, he was, I will say the Texas Pro was the second. So it was 2 weeks in a row. Tampa, he took second in Ian Valier. Kuklow wasn't in that show.
And he spilled at Texas.
Yeah, he still, and
He was like
better.
6th or something.
No, he was third. He was third.
Oh, he
The
was.
top 3 in the Texas Pro were Ian, Kuklow, and Phil. And I swear to
could he have
you,
won it? He could have won it.
any 3 of those guys could have won, and nobody would have really complained.
Incredible.
They all looked just incredible at that show. And yeah, Phil, we'll talk about Phil in a minute, but I want to wrap up Samson. Do you think, you were there, Jose, is there anything Samson could do in that week? I mean, I thought we both agreed the condition from behind could have been a little tighter. How much tighter do you think he's going to get in 7 days?
I don't know that it's a condition thing, because his condition was enough. It's just muscularity. Like he wasn't off by any means.
Right.
I was crazy impressed by Samson. His separation, muscle maturity. He just needs more size in his back, and maybe in his delts. But everything else, he had huge hanging pecs, unbelievable midsection. His lower body's outstanding. If he just has a little more thickness in the lats, he's going to do serious damage. Like I would go so far as to say, beat everyone in this lineup if he just added some more thickness to his back. Because I love his midsection, love his legs. Even his arms are good, his pecs are good. He's just missing back thickness. He would beat everyone. He would. I don't think his condition was an issue. I don't think genetically he has those deep dugout glutes. They were lean, but he doesn't have Bonac glutes. I mean, nobody does.
He was 280 pounds, he told me at the show. 280.
He looked it.
Biggest guy on that stage. Heaviest guy on that stage. So we got to talk about Justin Rodriguez, because Justin, when he came out, he was shocking. Jose, you said biggest guy on stage.
Yeah.
The shoulder width on him is ridiculous. It has to, for his height, he has to be like the widest guy out there. Maybe with Derek Lunsford could give him a run on that, but geez, he came out and freaked us all out based on the way the call-outs went. I thought he was going to be 3rd place, no lower than 4th, but I honestly thought they had him right behind Brandon and Bonac, and he ended up in 5th. He is a favorite to win this show. I mean, especially if Bonac doesn't show up, or if something happens to Bonac's condition, he spills over something, this could be another win. He's only had 1 pro win in all these shows he's done. He's been 2nd and 3rd many times. What do you think, Giles, about Justin Rodriguez? I know you weren't at the show, but you've been following Justin for a long time.
Well, the problem is, one thing he's having problems with is peaking for 2 days. He always looks great he did it the Arnold Classic in September, and he did it the Arnold Classic this year. The first day he looks incredible. The second day, maybe he tries to fill out too much, and it ends up distending his stomach. It messes up his abs. It messes up the flow of his physique, and he just doesn't look as good on the second day. But like you said, I mean, was it like a different physique from day 1 to 2? That's what I was hearing. That's what I was seeing. He really was. Like I said, I had him a solid 3rd as well. I said to Samson, look, you could leapfrog over Kuklow, because I thought Kuklow was going to jump down to 5th. I said, if you tighten up tonight for the second day, you could leapfrog up to 4th, which he did, but it was the other way around with Rodriguez and Kuklow. Right. So with Rodriguez, if he peaks perfectly for that, because it's only on 1 day, isn't it, Boston?
Yeah, Monday show.
It's all in 1 day. I think, that's going to benefit him then. I think that's going to benefit him. But I think he'll just improve, because, like I said, I keep saying, like 2-3 weeks out, I always think if I was his coach, I'd be saying, you're in trouble, mate. You don't look ready. You don't look ready, but he always seems to bring it on show day. But like I said, by the second day, he always seems to his physique seems to sort of fall apart a little bit, and he seems to slip. But I think he's definitely going to be a factor. But so that's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, Jose, give me a percent. Just try to see how much better did he look. I was blown away by how good he looked Friday night. I'd say like 10% condition was gone Saturday. 10%.
Yeah,
just
but-
wow factor was gone.
But then you got to add in the 8% that it affected his flow. So not only was his condition off, it totally affected his midsection too. So now you're looking at a 20% swing. It was enough that it was significant. I don't know that there's a ton he can do because, I just don't think the judges really are digging his look. He's looked outrageous in a lot of shows, and every time we're like, 7th, he should have been 4th, 5th, or 3rd, he should have won. They're not seeing the same way that most fans and we are. I'm a huge fan of his look. I just think he's growing too much. I think if he settles in and just, tightens everything up a little bit, he'll do very well.
Yeah.
He's grown too much. I mean, I think it looks like he went from 250 last year to 270 this year.
How does he
was-
come in
he
so
was
late
270,
every
yeah.
time, though? How does he come in so late every time? Like even every time at 2-3 weeks out, you'd think he looks 6 weeks out compared to the other guys. But then he always seems to bring it on show day. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I've never. Is it to do with sodium or whatever, or is he just keeping the sodium and water high, or is he after he's trained or something? I don't get it, because you see the pictures at 2 weeks out, and then you compare them to how he looks at 1 day out, and it looks like a 4 or 5 week difference.
Yeah.
Has to be.
I don't
water.
know.
It has to be water bloat. There's no way that he could be carrying that much body fat and get rid of it that quickly. There's no way.
He knows what he's doing though, because he does it every time.
I have to throw this out there because everyone in the comments, there'll be some comments about his delts. I have to address it. They're going to say, why didn't you talk about it? So I believe that I don't know if that shape and that fullness is achievable without something in them. I don't know.
Is it loyal?
Loyal? Oh, is that Louis Marco?
Yeah.
But
Shoulders loyal.
I think if the judges thought it was suspicious, they wouldn't have even had him in the first call out. They wouldn't have had him up there, because I've seen them knock people down the placings when it's obvious there's something funky going on in the arms or the shoulders. It's just,
Well, maybe they did. You're saying you thought he had a clear 3rd,
yeah.
and he ended up in 5th. Maybe that did affect it.
Hang on. You can. I tell you why I'm not that bothered about his shoulders, because you can see all 3 heads of his delts and his radial bicep. That's the giveaway when the guys shoot their shoulders with stuff that isn't gear. It blurs the 3 the delt heads. So I'm not concerned about it. And to be honest, I think Hattie's looks worst.
Yeah, I wasn't too concerned about it either.
No,
I think
I'm
he's
not.
got great shoulders to begin with, and then he, obviously pins them too. But I don't think he's putting oil in there, any synthol or anything like that.
If it was synthol, he'd put it in his triceps.
Right?
Yeah.
'Cause he's got those
Good
weak
call.
outer triceps, isn't he? That kind of
Yeah,
look
you
a
would
bit-
think so.
He's in
Yeah.
dire need of rounder, fuller triceps. 100%
Yeah.
agree. That's where the synthol would go. All right, fair enough. We covered that. I had to. Phil Clayhar, the Jamaican tank. So I interviewed him, and he is on fire for this show. He is, because he really wanted to be in that Arnold, and they didn't accept his application. And then he sees all these people drop out. Giles, you were petitioning for him to possibly get into the show, asking, why can't they add some more guys? Because we did have it down to 9 people. There was room for him on that stage, and he would have held his own and then some in that lineup. But he's out for redemption. He wants to show people how good he is. He wants to really kick this season off with a big bang. So yeah, just based on his demeanor, and his face was all dug out when I talked to him a couple nights ago, I think he's going to be trouble for these guys. He'll be first call out, and he'll be pushing them.
Have you seen any pictures of him?
He doesn't post pictures. He refuses. He's really old school.
Who's helping him now? Phil Viz? Is it still?
No. Oh, who did he
Hang on.
just?
Oh, I know this.
George Farah.
George Farah. Yeah, George Farah.
Yeah. Phil was working with him, so he's doing a lot less cardio now. Phil,
Oh,
Phil
is
had
this
him
his
doing
first
two-
show with George?
Yes.
Okay.
But I expect big things from him. He's very hard worker. He believes let the physique do the talking. No update pics, because he said none of that matters. Doesn't matter what I look like.
Yeah.
In
He's
my-
old school. I
in my
love it.
bathroom and by yourself. It doesn't matter what you look like by yourself because you're not on stage by yourself when you're judged. So
I want to see a nice fanny picture of him with his butt on the sink. You know how the skinny girls do that?
I love those pictures.
I think Klahar should stop posting those.
probably break the sink because he's a big dude.
Oh,
But
oh my God.
yeah.
Yes.
But he's got a crazy back on him. He's super wide, big dude. He gets granite hard, tight waistline. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he mixes in with these guys we've been talking about so far.
He's very balanced too. I love his physique. Really, really good. Amazingly. How old is he?
47.
47.
Yeah.
Damn.
He didn't
that's
turn pro until 2016 or 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's kind of new to the game as far as pro. And we discussed this. He had a 9-year break where he didn't compete. And he probably wasn't pushing the body that hard. Sing. No, but just I'm saying. So I said, let's subtract. Was it 8 years? I said, so you're not even 47 really, because you didn't have all those preps and all the abuse your body would have had during those years. So yeah, his skin looks fresh. He's Jamaican, they all beautiful skin, of course.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Hang on. I want to say about Phil. I want to talk about Phil. You asked me about Phil. Oh, yeah. I think he's the absolute wild card. And don't forget, if he looks as good or better than he did at the Texas Pro last year, like you said, Steve Kuklow was second in that one. Like I said, the whole top three. Ian Valliere was first. Kuklow was second. Klahar was third. Any three of those could have won it. So that tells you that he's at the same level that Kuklow is.
Oh yeah.
Now, if Kuklow's the favorite going in, if Bonac doesn't do it, then I think absolutely this is the guy, this is the wild card. That's why I said they should have invited him to the Arnold Classic when the names started dropping out, because I'd love to have seen him in this, because I think he's on a roll now. And what he's done in the last year, and I spoke to him a few weeks ago, I had him on Global, and he kind of does give a bit away with how confident he is. He's quite an honest guy, and I think his confidence is warranted. So I think he's going to shock. I think he's going to be the shock of this one, and I think he's really hungry. And I think he's pissed off he didn't get the invite to the Arnold, and I think he's really going to be gunning for those guys now. So I think this is going to. If we see the best Phil Klahar we've ever seen, then I absolutely think he's the wild card, not just for top three, but for the win.
Yeah, another thing that he said, just to add, he's 47. He says, I know I don't have a lot of time left in this game. Yeah. Everything I want to get it done. I got to get it done now. I don't have years and years to So
there's an urgency. There's an urgency.
Super driven, very focused. All right. Now we can move on to Regan Grimes, the protege of Milos, who he's been looking so much better than the Regan that I knew in the past few years. At the Arnold, I'd like to see a couple more improvements from him, but I was very impressed. 7th place out of 9 sounds, on paper, that doesn't sound very good, but that was a very good lineup. Jose, I'll start with you because you were there. What would you like to see different in 1 week from Regan to help him do a little better at this show?
Nothing. There's nothing he can do in a week. He needs 2-3 years. In 3 years, Regan will be 30 and he'll be one of the best in the world. Yeah. He needs time. That frame needs time. There's nothing they can do. There's no giant set or insulin protocol that's going to put him ahead of Kuklow tomorrow or this weekend, or there's nothing. This kid's young. He's hungry. He's he's doing all the right things. He's working hard. He's making a killing on social media. There's nothing he can do to be a top.
Fair enough.
Top 2 in this lineup. There's no way. I don't see him beating Klahar. I don't see him beating Kuklow. I don't see him beating Bonac. I don't see him beating any of the who?
Rodriguez.
Nope. Yeah. No. So a top 5 would be a huge landing for him. Yeah. If and that's not saying anything bad about the kid. I think he's awesome. Absolutely. He's just too young. There's so much frame to put muscle on, and it's not there yet, and there's nothing a week can do that. And if he's peeled out of his mind, that would be his best bet, because then he would slide by guys that are off, but he's still not going to be not enough to win this in this lineup. I just want to fast forward 3 years and see what he looks like.
Oh, dude, That's what I want to do with Urs Kalachinsky, but we'll get to that later. Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go on.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I do agree with, not hate to say it, but I do agree with Jose. I would like to see him actually, I hate to say this, it sounds bad, but I'd like to see him skip this show and then go do either the Arnold Brazil or the Indy in a few weeks' time, because you saw what he did with Milos from the Olympia to the Legion Sport, and he can do great things in 2 weeks, but in 1 week, we're not going to really, we might see him a couple of percent improved, but it's not going to be enough to crack this top 5. But I think like New York Pro, Indy, something like that in 2 or 3 months, because he had the COVID, and that was a good reason why he wasn't at his best. And Milos was absolutely killing him. I mean, I heard actually before the Arnold, I didn't say anything, but I heard that he was. It came through the grapevine through a source that he was struggling and with breathing, and Milos wasn't able to train him the way he wanted to train him. He was just training him normally. Apparently, this is what I was told. And so I think he looked good. He looked good at the Arnold, but not as good as we expected or hoped. So I think maybe he should just do this one, shut it down, and maybe go do a later show, because he needs a bit of time to recover from this and actually come in at his best. And I think he needs at least a couple of months. And I think if he does a show in maybe May, like the New York Pro, then I think we'll see the best version of him, and I think he'll have his best chance for this year.
I think he needs more time than that. Because
yeah, but the beautiful thing is, Ron, is he has millions of fans, literally millions. So for him to show up and just do a guest appearance, be there, get on stage, what's a week, and grow his fan base and make some money, and then shut it down, and then do something later. Give himself a little break. I don't see anything wrong with him showing up. I just don't think that he floors the gas to try to win this show or anything. Just show up and enjoy yourself and be a professional. And I'm pretty sure that's what he's thinking anyway. He's a pretty smart kid. And when you interviewed him, he seemed to be really grounded and know where he stood here. I don't think he's trying to do anything crazy.
Yeah.
What show would you put him in if you were going to put him in another show this year?
You were right about Indies in 10 weeks. That would be a good show because it's not huge, and most of the big guns will hold off till New York. So Indy would be a good show for him to show up at 100%. And then if that doesn't go well, I would shut it down. I would shut it down for the year. He clearly needs a little break. Once you stop improving and going backwards, then you got to reconsider what you're doing.
See, that scenario doesn't
so much time.
That scenario doesn't have him at the Olympia this year. And if that is their goal, Milos and Regan, to be in the Olympia this year, I would shut it down after Boston, go into take a couple weeks to clean out, whatever, all that, get back into an off season. I'd have to look at the schedule to see if there's a couple shows, because the Olympia's not till December. What is it, John? What show is it?
I think he should do a European show like Spain or Portugal or something like that. In the summer. And I'm not, no disrespect, but it might be an easier qualifier for him, and then he could go and just get ready for the Olympia, which would still be 4 or 5 months away. I think that would be his best bet. Maybe stay away from some of the American shows, because is he going to win the New York Pro? Unlikely. Could he win Indy? Possibly. The Arnold Brazil, you're going to have guys like Rafael Brandao. That's a similar level guy. He could maybe do that. I mean, the Arnold Brazil's only a few weeks away. I've not heard of any big names doing that yet. So maybe that might be good. Maybe just because he already did in 2 weeks from the Olympia to the Legion. If he could do that again in a couple of months, then I think, because he looked sensational at that Legion Sports. I thought he looked absolutely fantastic. That's the best version I've ever seen of him so far.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Just a couple more guys to talk about. Really just one. Eslam Muhammad we touched on. Douglas Frucci from California. I don't know.
Doug Frucci.
Doug Frucci. Do you know him, Jose?
He's gigantic. Big old white boy.
I have seen him compete. He's a
big and hard as a rock.
Like 6 foot, 6'1", maybe even more.
Yeah, he looks 6'7" on a bodybuilding stage. He's huge. He's probably 280.
Okay.
Big old white guy.
So we got Max Charles in the show, who was the last guy from the Arnold to talk about. I was disappointed only because I've seen Max so much better than that. And I don't know what can be done to remedy that in time for this. He looked a little bit smaller to me, a little less conditioned. It just wasn't the Max Charles that, nobody was saying Max was robbed this time. Nobody was saying Max should have been in that first call out. back like, Giles, when we saw him at that 2020 Arnold, the condition was just freakish. And everyone was like, why aren't they calling him out? He's overlooked. He's robbed. I didn't hear anything like that from anybody this weekend at the Arnold.
Thing is with Max, so he's very up and down. He can sometimes, like I remember seeing him at the Olympia a couple of years, I think it was 2019 Olympia, and I thought, okay, he's done. He's done. And then he came to the 2020 Arnold Classic and looked sensational. And then he's one of these ones, like you said, like Bonac always look good at the first show, and then he fades. He doesn't get better. Whereas other guys will start off, slow, and then they get faster. With Max, he's very up and down from show to show. So you might see a much better version of him this week, or you might see an even worse version of him. So he's a bit of a wild card in that you never know what he's going to bring from show to show. It's never like consistent, So he could look. I just want to see him looking better than he did last week, because I think that'll be good for him.
Jose, you're a gambling man. Would you gamble on him looking a lot better in Boston?
No. I mean, maybe slightly better. I thought he's one of those guys, when he starts posing, he gets a little better.
Yeah.
Some of his front shots are still outrageous, like that most muscular with the pecs and the abs.
Yeah.
But even his abs weren't as good as normal this week. He was a little washed out. I don't know what he's up to. He's getting a bit older. He was, known as the genetic super freak. He could pretty much eat anything. And, he's one of those guys that's hopped from coach to coach to coach to coach, never really gotten a rhythm. And I think that's what we're seeing.
Maybe Dennis Wolf's still figuring his body out as well.
Yeah.
Maybe they need a few shows to get it right. Do you know what I mean? Because when you got a new coach, it's a bit of a gamble. It's like with Clayhall working with George Farrer. He might look the best ever. He might regress. You don't know, do you? Like Bonac, did we predict that Bonac would come in and just steal the show in a way, and look as good as he did? No one saw that coming.
No.
Could be same here as well.
Last guy in the Open, because you had him on Global. You've had him a couple times, but fairly recently, Giles, was Justin Mackey.
Yeah.
So this is a good chance for Justin to stand next to some really big names and see how he does.
If you compare the pictures he's been posting in Progress compared to how he looked last year on stage, you wouldn't even think that it was the same physique. If you cut the heads off, you wouldn't be able to work out that it was the same physique and body. Like, his body is completely transformed. I got a really good vibe from him actually on the show, and he seems like he's in a really good place. And I think he's definitely going to be improved. He's been prepped by Nick Walker.
Oh wow, that's right. But
yeah, Nick Walker,
size-wise, the only issue I had with him, because I remember him from last year, he was great condition. I liked his shape and everything, but I said, I remember my play-by-play, I said he just does not have the size to hang with these guys.
He's bigger. He's a lot bigger. A lot bigger. I mean, I don't know what he looks like he's put about 10, 15 pounds on it, and he's not a tall guy. So I think he'll look good. I think he's going to look a lot different. I think you're going to take notice of him more than you did last year. So, but and he said, no, Nick Walker, he said, approached him. And Nick said, look, I don't really work with many people, he said, but he said, when we competed together as amateurs, he says, you reached out to me backstage when I was really nervous backstage. And he says, and you really made me feel at ease. He says, I'd like to actually return the favor. He said, I'd like to prep you. So, and he said, it's been going great. So be interesting, because if he looks really, really good, and Nick Walker's then spotlights on him even more for being a good coach and knowing what he's doing, So that's going to be an interesting storyline there.
I'll say. Yeah. Jose, do you know Justin at all?
Yeah, I know Justin. He for a few years, he had the prettiest shape in amateur bodybuilding at the USA's, at nationals. He was always that guy. You're like, man, if he could just nail it, And it took him a while. He still has a real pretty shape. I haven't seen anything from him. I think an outlandish leap would have to take place for him to be pushing for anything significant at this show. But like I said earlier about Regan, if this kid were to nail it and get a 5-6 spot in a tough lineup like this, that's a win. That's a win. He's, people take notice of him, and then he can build off of that. Sure. I'm not expecting him to come in and be top 3, right. But he's always had a great shape. In like Giles said, he's much bigger. Well, when you have shape like that, he could be 5 pounds heavier and look 15, 20 pounds bigger.
Yeah.
That's the blessing of having that that type of shape. So yeah, I look forward to seeing it,
Okay.
especially with Nick, the
Um,
mutant. Is Nick going to turn him into a mutant?
I don't think he's going to look like Nick. Nick was looking like Cutler-esque at the Arnold. That's how thick he is now.
Wow.
He's crazier because Jay was at least somewhat tall, like for a bodybuilder. I looked Nick in the eye. I mean, he's only 3 inches taller than me.
Wow.
He's
never
he
3
is
foot.
short, dude.
He's never 3'6".
No, well, he's 3'8" then.
He claims he says 5'7". He says 5'7".
He's a short 5'7". But
he's wide, square.
He's so wide. He looks like one of those balloons. He looks like a balloon that like goes up at a child's party of like a superhero.
He looks like a Michelin man with a smaller waist than a Michelin
Yeah.
man and a gut.
If you push him on his side, he's still as tall.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. See, we can say that. I mean, you can't. You're like 6 foot. You can't talk about people's height like me and Jose can.
All
All
right.
right. So the rest of the divisions, I'm only going to go with my favorite, and you guys can agree or disagree. So classic. I think this is going to be a sweep for Germany's young 23-year-old miracle bear, Urs Kalaczynski, because we do not have Terrence Ruffin in the show. We do not have Ramondino. What's up, Brazil?
Why?
I don't know.
Because Ramon makes like 70 grand a month. You don't need
That's a true story.
$7,000.
If you're right there at the Arnold Classic and there's a show the week after and it's only like from Brazil to Boston, why not do it? Why not jump in at the last minute? I'd be on the phone to the organizer saying, please get me in. I need a win for the Olympia. It'll be good for because you'll get bonuses from your sponsors anyway. So
does he need a win or does top two qualify?
Well, why not? Why would and a big show like this, a new show? I think he's crazy not to be doing this.
He already qualified in Brazil a couple of weeks ago.
That's right. It was after the Olympia. It was after the Olympia. It was the muscle contest that show. So yeah,
I think he's nuts. I think he's nuts.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he probably is the highest paid man in this industry by a supplement company. I bet he does have the best contract.
No.
Yes.
100%. 100%. I'm not even.
I'm gonna say it's between 50 and 70,000 a month.
No way.
Yes,
Giles, I was talking to some Brazilian fans and some Brazilian. I don't know. They have because it's a huge country. They're fanatics about bodybuilding. Yeah. They're all buying up these supplements. So these supplement companies down there, I think they're doing better than the majority of U.S. supplement companies.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
They're doing very, very well. So they can afford to pay this kid. He's like a national hero down there. So
really, wow, that's great. Well, I heard Rafael Brandao 5 years ago when he was like 24, coming through to the Open. I heard he was on a good amount, but it was nothing like what Jose's just said there. It was nowhere near. And I'm sure it's increased or whatever because he's doing really well for himself. He's opening a Dragon's Lair 2 and all this, and he's got loads of stuff going on, and he's got nice cars and seems to be very, very happy and well looked after. I think they even pay for his girlfriend as well. They're like a power couple, you know. So that's great to hear, Ramondino, man. I mean, he's so new. Like I said, I saw him at the Alicante last August, and I wasn't blown away by this guy at all. And then when he did the Olympia, I was like, oh shit, this guy's really good. And then I figured out a few weeks later that it was the same guy that I've been doing the live stream commentary on in Alicante. And I just thought, I couldn't believe how fast this guy was coming up. So that's great to hear. I like that. That's great. But he should be doing this show. Well, not an easy win because I had Urs fighting for second last week.
Yeah. So Urs, I mean, it's the lineup. I recognize a couple of the names, but Urs is the top ranked guy.
Breon's on the list.
He's on the list now. Did they change the list?
No, he's out. He's out. I heard he's out.
Really? They had a picture of him on the site.
I heard he's out. Just
like they had a picture of Bonac. I wish that would be exciting if Breon came.
Yeah. I mean, the guys, ifbbpro.com, if you don't know, that's where they put the competitor lists out, but they'll update it every day because some people will drop out, some people will sign up. So I didn't even know Breon was ever planning on this show. A
couple of days ago, I heard Breon and Brett were out. I know Brett's definitely out, but I'm not saying that's for certain, but that's what I read. I can't remember where I read it. And I don't know whether it's true, but that's what I did hear. But it would be great if Breon did this.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's one of these two-time Olympia champ, of course. Yeah. Men's physique, the guy that was runner-up, Antoine Witherspoon, he was run-up to Aaron Banks. He'll probably win that. MPD has a pretty large lineup for this show. Fitness, Missy Truscott is coming, and Ariel K is not coming. So,
she's not?
I don't see her on the list. Is she on the list now? She wasn't yesterday.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, she already won. Why bother? But
You do it. Wouldn't you just do it?
Yeah, well,
you know, we would.
she's
Can I say something here? I think as well. I'm not dissing anyone like Ariel or anyone, but when there's a new show and I know what they've spent on certain elements of the show, like, you know, getting the rapper for what, like an hour or half an hour or something. I mean, it's a big amount of money, and that's something they don't have to do. When I think there's a big event, you either like Brandon Curry's going to be attending. He's not competing, but he's still going to be attending. I think there's almost an obligation for those people, especially if you've competed the week before, to really throw your hat into this and make arrangements and do these shows. I think it's really important to support these shows because I want to see this show absolutely packed. I want the stage. They want to see the stage packed with names. They put a lot of promotion into the show. They paid a lot of money to have like Phil and Ronnie and all these, Flex Wheeler and Kevin DeVrone, all these other people at the show. Not sure if Kevin's there, but all these people to be at the show. I think it's really on them to jump in. And the thing is, if you won a show or you got second or something, why wouldn't you want to do another show like this the week after?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Missy's an Arnold champ, an Olympia champ. So if she shows up as planned and Ariel doesn't, you know, I saw some other names that were in the top 10, but Missy was right there. A lot of people were surprised she didn't win. It had to be a tough call between those two. Moving on to figure, the highest ranked person on the list from the Arnold was Nicole Zenobia Graham. So I see that probably she's the favorite for that.
I was disappointed with her condition last week. I think she was way off. I think she looked like 4 weeks out, and she's normally someone who brings real condition. If you compare her Olympia pictures last year when she was top 3 to the Arnold Classic this year, it looks like I mean, there's one, if she tightens up, she's top 3 Olympia, you know, she's won pro shows.
Right.
But I was really disappointed with her conditioning last week. So I hope she's tighter for this week.
Well, the wellness runner-up, Angela Borges, another amazing Brazilian wellness champ. She's coming. And Isabel Nunes is not, unless Jose, you're a little more, you've looked at the list more recently than I have, I guess. I didn't see her on the list yesterday, but
I didn't either.
Angela Borges, probably the favorite. In bikini, top 3 women are not showing up to this.
Urishna's coming too.
Urishna's coming, but
she's already here, I think.
So she was
good.
She was
Good.
5th or 6th. What'd she end up like? 5th? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised by that. I thought she would have been higher.
She was a little soft in the bottom.
I could tell by the call outs. They didn't have.
Was it the Olympia though? She was at the Olympia. She never. What you see on Instagram does not translate condition wise to the stage, and I think I don't know what's going on there. Whether she's either filtering pictures or whether she just doesn't translate because her conditioning is. And the thing is, if you noticed with like Sunny Andrews and some of these other ladies in the wellness, the conditioning's already going up a notch, and it's only been the class has only been out a year in the pros. I'm actually a little concerned. I don't want it to go the way of figure and get the girls too shredded or women's physique. I don't want to see that level of conditioning. So actually, I'm actually saying that Urishna's condition is probably what it should be. Do you know what I mean?
It is, but when you see her next to Isabel Nunes,
yeah,
it's mind blowing how good Isabel looks.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it just how it works a little better. Like Urishna looks bottom heavy because her butt is so I mean it looks awesome, but it stands out. You couldn't not have Angela and Isabel first and second.
Okay.
Just because of the way they looked. And I agree with you, they shouldn't be striated crazy and vascular or anything like that, which they weren't. But yeah, it's always a concern that they're going to go that extra step. But Urishna was clearly out of the running, and she needs to tighten that up a little bit.
Yeah, and I just have to throw this because some people are going to ask why no women's physique at this show, why no women's bodybuilding. The promoter specifically kept all the same divisions from the week before at the Arnold in hopes of getting all those people.
Why no 212?
Good idea.
There's no 212 at the Arnold. That's why.
In hopes of getting more people. Had he done a 212, he would have had 10 to 15 more athletes.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we need 212 shows. We need 212 shows just like we need these other ones. Yeah. So the final division, bikini, Isa Piccini, former Olympia champ.
She's here.
She's here. She was the highest placer at the Arnold, and she's an Olympia champ. You know, there's no Ashley, there's no who won? I can't remember.
No Ashley. Why is Ashley? Ashley does every show.
Maybe
she's already done 18 shows since January.
She's had a win. She won
it
that
really?
first pro show in Vegas the other week, and she got third at the Arnold. But I mean, we had the talk. We did the tour with her, and she said, "I just like to compete. I love it." And why wouldn't she do this one? I don't get it.
Maybe she will. Maybe she'll
She'll
jump
jump
in.
in. She'll jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll message her.
Clearly, she has no problem making it to a show at the last minute. She's done it.
She stays
so
on.
many
She
times.
stays on prep all year round. She likes the lifestyle. It doesn't bother her. When we were traveling with her, all she ate was chicken.
Oh gosh.
Lauren was cooking her chicken and prepping herself all day,
She
every
must be
day.
bound up. No fiber. No
And
veggies.
she was eating some veggies, but when we were traveling, we went from Romania to UK to Spain. She was pretty much, I'll just eat chicken. She was eat just chicken.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? And by the time she got to Romania, she was so rich. She was so lean. She was so ripped. She actually got second because she was too lean.
Oh God. Imagine having that problem. Oh, I can't stop getting leaner. Oh my God.
I love it, actually. I love that she's an athlete. She does, all the
Yeah.
gymnastic stuff and track stuff, sprints, jumping. She's a legit athlete.
She has that athletic look. You can tell looking at her, she's an athlete. You could see the hamstring sweep. You could see certain things that you don't see on all these other bikini women.
And that's why competing is no big deal for her. She doesn't have to do anything extreme to get ready because she's living that life 24/7. Pretty awesome, pretty admirable.
Yeah. And she's able to, I mean, I interviewed her at the meet and greet. And she's bubbly and energetic and everything. Other people are around like, dragging ass. So she clearly has this down to a science, the whole.
She'll be the winningest athlete in IFBB history.
She already is.
She already is. There you go.
Dexter was 29. What is she, 32, Giles? 32 wins?
She's 31 now.
31
But she was
wins.
awesome to tour with. She was wonderful to tour. She was so easygoing, and even in before the tour, organizing, she was so helpful, and it was a 10 out of 10 experience in terms of it organizing, and because we when you try and coordinate 3 different countries and competing and making sure she's okay and traveling to all these different venues, she was awesome. She was brilliant. I was really. She was I'm glad we did it, and it was a good experience.
Okay, cool.
Very professional.
Well, that's a wrap, guys. Man, I'm so excited for the show. Jose will be there, of course, doing some commentary.
You'll be there too, Ron.
No, I'm not going. Come on. Hector's actually flying into Boston today to work with you. We're doing this on Wednesday.
Yeah.
You guys are what are you gonna tour him? Take him on a tour around Boston?
He's getting in a little later, so what I'm gonna have him do is just go straight to Nate's gym. He'll do a tour of Nate's gym, some interviews. There's gonna be a lot of pros in and out of there. You can get a lot of content there, and then he and I can do some traveling stuff tomorrow.
Right on. Yeah, we're getting some snow today, 1 to 3 inches. Not a big deal. We can deal. That's like nothing to us. But yeah, I want to encourage everyone.
Ron bragging about his 1 to 3 inches.
It's always going to go to the people.
That's what she said.
I found out that the average length. I'm not going to go into this. Don't worry, guys. No, come on, Giles. Come on. No, I'm not going to go into numbers, but I'm saying when urologists and scientists actually measure in the lab setting, it's always much shorter than the self-reported measurements that guys when they fill out surveys. And that's
yeah, because they start the measuring tape at their spine.
At their butthole. Anyway. Oh God, where am I going with this? I'm sorry, guys. So
what a wonderful way to wrap up.
This is where my brain goes. So what a way to wrap it up. So let's take it back to Saturday, guys. musculardevelopment.com all day, because judging starts at 9, final start at 6. So all day and night, we'll be giving you guys coverage. We'll be doing play-by-play. Giles will be on that, I hope. I'll be sitting there uploading pictures instantly. Hector's going to have his high-resolution pictures. It'll take an hour or 2 to upload. Plenty of great content on musculardevelopment.com in the contest gallery. In the forum, there's a play-by-play thread. It'll be called Boston Pro. And on this channel, we'll have all kinds of interviews and, the wrap-up that I do with Jose, because there's very few people in this world that have an eye for physiques like Jose Raymond. I'll say that with total authority. Very few human beings. A lot of you guys, I'd read your comments after these shows, and I could see you're good fans, but you don't have that eye because you haven't been to 1,000 shows. You haven't judged shows. A lot of you haven't competed in shows. Jose has done all that and more. So, I have a good eye, but Jose has.
Ron, what time does this show start? Do you know when is prejudging? When is finals?
Yeah, 9 and 6. 9 and 6.
9 a.m.
Correct.
Wow.
So before you guys all DM me, it's bostonpro.com for all the info. The ticket info. I had a woman on Facebook. She commented, "Can anyone come, or do you have to buy a ticket?" Yeah, you got to buy tickets to bodybuilding shows. I'm sorry, they're not free. So
They're rather expensive.
yes, and Akon is performing at the finals, a couple songs, and then he's going to be doing a whole set.
Did you
at
know
the after
that?
Party. Akon, are you a fan of Akon, Giles? Probably not.
Who's that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Who's that?
Yeah, he knows Five Finger Death Punch. He knows Slipknot. He
What?
doesn't know Akon.
Come on. Do you know who Tom Jones is?
Oh, he knows
Yeah, my dad.
because he's Welsh. That's why. What's Akon's biggest hit, Jose? I can't even think of his biggest
Locked
hit.
Up.
Locked Up. I don't know that. One.
Locked Up. You
Sing
can
it.
hear the
Sing it.
cells
Sing it.
slamming.
He was in
What?
the one with Shaggy where it wasn't me. Wasn't that him? Wasn't that Akon and Shaggy?
I don't know.
Kind of can. Yeah. Anyway,
He's got a whole lot of hits, man.
I know he does. It's just not my genre of music. So.
I know what they've paid to get in there.
Oh, you
Dude,
do?
how much?
I can't say.
Do you really
50
know?
grand.
No, I can't. It's not because it was told to me privately.
Oh,
But it's
Jay told me.
what did you say, Jose?
50K.
Oh, a lot more
Good
than
day.
that. Lot
More?
than that. Yeah.
You
Over
made-
double.
You know,
Over double.
Jose's good for a Nate.
That pisses me off then. Why would you spend 50K to get Akon
100
and only give 40K to your bodybuilding champion?
And a truck.
in a truck. Yeah.
They could have spent that on the 212s.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
oh you were baiting me there, weren't you?
Yeah.
We like
yeah.
to do that. We like to do that.
Dude, I can't even compete. It's not about me. I want to see these guys get paid. I was
Hey,
fired
Jose.
up that Arnold paid the classic physique a good amount.
60.
60, yeah, up from
Yeah,
7.
so
It went
Terrence
from
walked
7
in
to 60 in
70
1
grand.
year.
That's
Incredible.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's Arnold putting the money where his mouth is. Hey, Jose, you asked me what my age was before. Do you want to guess how old I am here?
With you look like a child. That Clarence
Charles
Claremont.
Claremont.
Yeah, Charles Claremont.
You're probably, let me think, 19,
I'm going to go
17.
16.
17. There you go.
17. That was
Okay.
1993. That was when Charles Claremont beat Kevin DeVrone and Flex Wheeler
Wow.
at the British Grand Prix.
Wow. Yeah, good
Wow.
times.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Now I'm really going to wrap it up. No more dirty jokes or anything. So please head on over to musculardevelopment.com on Saturday. Stay on this channel, Muscular Development YouTube channel. We're going to have all kinds of great content starting Friday night at the athletes meeting. We're going to start doing interviews and all that good stuff. And of course, the wrap-ups for the show, the best possible guy to have at the Boston Pro, the Boston Mass, Jose Raymond. It's going to be an awesome time. I hope to see a lot of you guys down there and definitely following with us online. So, yeah.
And a Boston Pro Global Muscle special like I did with the Arnold Classic this week, next Wednesday.
Of course. That's how we do it. Yeah. So please, guys, join us. We appreciate it. We're going to bring you as much of the action as possible. If you can't make it to Boston, we're going to make you feel like you're right there with us. So that's it. Thank you so much, Giles Tiger Thomas, Jose Raymond. And thanks, guys, for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, do all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time.